Hello and welcome, I'm Arumba. Thank you for joining me. Let's do another Arumba's Assay. This is going to be Ethiopia, submitted by a gentleman named David, who says, I was going for Prester John and the Blessed Nation achievement, but now he's not sure if it's doable because he did not address the Ottoman expansion, and now they look too scary to tackle. He didn't have every DLC, but he had the important ones, so I've tried to disable most of the stuff that I might think I should try to do without being actually able to do. And I suppose as per normal, without further ado, let's just dive in. So Prester John, if you're unfamiliar, is to, I can't look it up because loading his save, it's not going to let me look at these things, but Prester John is... Prester John, not Prester, Prester John. Prester John, own and have cores on Alexandria, Antioch, and Constantinople as Coptic Ethiopia. So basically, we need to go up there and take Constantini to get this achievement. So we got to beat the Ottomans, and we got to beat them something fierce. And then we got to take a few other miscellaneous provinces, and also get all 5 of the Ethiopian, the Coptic religion holy sites. So that's like the primary goal here. How would we do that? First things first, I want to just go through my list of things. Some of this stuff is not directly related to the achievement, but it will help to make the achievement possible. So I still think that there's value in talking about it. First things first is accepted cultures. This comes up a lot, but in particular, I want to mention this now because we are actually already into the age of absolutism, and we are generating only 1 splendor per month right now, and we need to get some of these things satisfied. We can't do the religious war. That's just not something that we can participate in anymore. I'm like mostly certain it's already happened. It should have by now. We're probably not going to become the Emperor of China. It's going to take a very long time to get absolutism to 90. This one, potential for large army, is doable. Multiple universities, definitely doable. And then found 3 trade companies, that's going to be pretty tricky because we don't have colonial ideas. So really, we can only get universities, potential for large army, and multicultural nation. Right now, we have 4 promoted culture slots, but in a very short period of time, we're going to get at Diplotech 20 a 5th slot. So basically, we want to start accepting cultures so that we can make that happen. I looked around the map a little bit, looking at cultures and directions we might expand. We've got Swahili is a eligible one, Omani. We are already Empire tier, so we get a lot of accepted cultures just based on that. They are part of the same culture group as our primary culture, so they get automatic acceptance. But I'm just going to say that this is something we should do right away. It's going to give us more money, more manpower. Everything's going to be good. We're going to embrace Swahili and Omani, and I'm going to leave it at that for now. Next, wanted to talk about expansion. we played, I think, in this region of the world a couple times when we were doing the schizophrenic sovereignty campaign. We played as like Hormuz. We played as that little guy inside here. And I just want to like remind people again, there's so much money in here. This guy has 4 gold mines here, and this land might not be making a huge amount of money right now, but it can if you take it and develop it. Looks like there's also a gold mine right there in the Fog of War. There's, oh no, that's not colonized, so it's potential for gold. So, I noticed that we don't have any claims on Kilwa. Kilwa's behind time on tech relative to us by 4 techs. Easy pickings. Good gold, good products, potential for trade. Like, we should be expanding south. I know that the mission is to expand north, but to go north, we need to go south. I hope that makes sense. So first thing I'm going to do then with 1 diplomat is start spying on Kilwa, and we'll come back to that in a moment. Next up, I want to talk about rival selection. I think I know how this happened. This player has rivaled... where are we going? They have rivaled this guy, Transoceana, and they've rivaled Ming and France. And I think what happened is that in a desperate attempt to keep power projection high, they're just rivaling whoever's available. The problem is that when you rival someone like Ming, you're never going to go to war with them. You're never really going to go to war with France unless they declare on you for like colonial reasons. And this guy, we can't get a CB against either. So not one of our rivals is an eligible target for invasion. And just looking at who else is available, we have the Ottomans. I would have rivaled the Ottomans. I know they're stronger than us, but by rivaling the Ottomans, you are saying to the world, I hate this person, and anyone else who hates this person should be my friend. So then you go and you look at the Ottomans and say, well, who hates the Ottomans? Spain and Poland. Right now, Poland doesn't want to be our friend because Poland doesn't like the fact that we've rivaled France. So for example, if we broke the rivalry with France and instead rivaled the Ottomans, all of a sudden, -50 reasons for the Polish alliance goes away, And then also the neutral attitude towards Ethiopia would probably go away because he's going to become friendly, or at least he's going to become like, what's the word for it? He's going to want to support our cause. He hates the Ottomans too, you know? So like, you see what I mean? Like, just choosing rivals at random just to try to satisfy power projection is probably not the right way to go. Now, I'm not so sure that I really want to spend Diplo points on this. We also recently added France as a rival, so we can't change it for a long time. But if it were possible, I would have considered that. Okay. All right. Something else I wanted to that I noticed while looking around at the Ottomans and trying to assess their strength is that again, the player is concerned that they're unbeatable, and I just want to mention that they are beatable. You can tell very easily by indicators like this. They have level 1 forts. They can't afford to upgrade their forts. This is actually the Mamluks, my bad. They have level 1 forts that are mothballed even on the border. If you ever see an AI doing this, it means that their economy is not in a good place. I mean, they've mothballed literally every fort they own except for the fort in the very capital of their country. So that makes me want to go check them out in the ledger to see how things are looking. And their income is really good, sure. They don't have a lot of money in the bank, and they are, of course, first-rank great power, so there's that to be aware of. But the fact that they're mothballing forts is an indicator. It means that they're close to their economic max of like what they can sustain. They probably just got out of a bad war. I would go and check for loans. You can see that on the 3rd page of the ledger under the score comparison under admin rating. You hover over the tooltip, and if they have loans, they will have negative 0.02 negative admin rating per loan. So if in here it says like something about loans negative 0.1, that means they've taken out 5 loans. Loan size is dictated by the amount of development in the country. So 5 Ottoman loans are going to be big loans. Of course, you could also find out the exact debt by trying to declare on one of their allies, which we don't have a diplomat to check on now, but I'm just saying like it's another way you can check their debt. So then also we would check out their military. The Ottomans have no manpower, no mercs, which means that they're actually doing kind of okay, but they've definitely spent a lot of effort recently on a war if they have only 1,000 manpower out of a maximum of like, what, 150,000. They recover 2,000 a month, so they're going to get it back pretty quick, but just be aware, like the Ottomans they're not the mythical beast that they would otherwise appear to be. All right, merchants. Okay, I like this. This is actually a good contrast to some of the other episodes that I've done recently where I've talked about how you pretty much never want to collect from trade in 2 nodes because you just waste a lot of potential trade power. In this case, the trade is pretty logical. We've got a merchant who's steering in Goa, a merchant who's collecting in Ethiopia, and our home node is in the Gulf of Aden. And we have a merchant there collecting. So in this case, because the Ethiopian node cannot be sent toward where we want it, if we don't collect, we're just missing out on all of this trade income, which is like 9 ducats a month. We do lose on the trade power multiplier because we have that extra merchant collecting, but it does make logical sense in this case to collect from 2 locations. Now I want to talk about taking it a step further though. You look over at Goa, and we have a merchant here, we have ships here. The merchant is providing 2 trade power. Looking at the total percent we control, 22%, and looking at the countries that are steering in this direction, there are only 2 outputs. We've got one guy with 6 trade power going north, and then everyone else wants to go west. So what that means is that our merchant isn't actually necessary here. All he's doing is giving us 2 trade power. That's it, just 2. If this merchant weren't here, the money's still going to want to go this way anyway because everyone else wants it to go this way. So what we should do is actually triple down and go and collect in this 26% node of Zanzibar. Here we have 26% control of a fair bit of money, and we are just sending 20% of that back upstream because, again, it's downstream from the node that we collect in, and there's no way to steer it where we want. So we're going to collect from trade here with the guy who's in Goa. Let me take a snapshot of our income because I think we're going to find that just that one change is actually going to make a fairly sizable impact in trade income. Now, next thing is I just want to finish up on trade, talking about the value of the nodes. If I had to choose, we have 22 light ships that are currently protecting in the Gulf of Aden. Gulf of Aden has 15.6 ducats there, 183 total trade power. In the Ethiopia node, we have no ability to send ships there because it's inland. Goa node, 13 ducats with less trade power. So if I had to choose just based on that, the ratio is better in Goa than it is in the Gulf of Aden. So I would imagine we're probably going to make more money by collecting, by sending our ships to Goa than by having them protect in the Gulf of Aden. But before we do that, another complete side topic, I was looking at the missions that are available for this country, and we have one more that we can achieve pretty easily right here. Dominate trade. Gulf of Aden, Ethiopia has 75% or more trade power. That'll give us more local trade power in the node and a development cost reduction for that province. So what we're going to do is real quick, we're going to take all the ships that are currently in Goa, and we're going to send them over to the Gulf of Aden, even if it's at a loss. And also, we're going to temporarily turn on trade power edicts in the Gulf of Aden just to make sure that this thing gets satisfied. So those are the two estuaries there, and I think there's one more down here. This player does not have access to estates, so we don't need to worry about those clicks. Alright, so we're through to the missions part thing now, and then I want to talk now about breaking up the alliance network for the Ottomans. So, current diplomatic status, we are allied to Tunis and Lithuania. Ottomans are allied to Tunis and this guy and Anizza. So we don't want to have him allied to Anizza because we want to attack Anizza. If we try to attack Anizza, then we have to fight the Ottomans, and we don't want that. We also don't really want to have to deal with this. So, what we're going to consider is trying to break up the alliance chain by declaring on Anizza's allies, so that Anizza is pulled in as a non-co-belligerent. We win that war, and then as the separate peace deal with Anizza, we force the annulment of alliance with the Ottomans, and then there goes one of his allies. Another thing we can do is that to protect ourselves from the Ottomans and force him to lose his own relationships, if we ally this guy ourselves, then if he tries to attack us, his ally betrays him to defend us. So even though he's only got one reason for acceptance, I think we should probably take this alliance. I know that we have 5 out of 5 relations, but if you're concerned about the capacity to win like an achievement, then what we should do is just go over the relationship limit. That's just a small price to pay to make it possible. Looking at the other ships, we do have 10 heavies. I'm guessing that those heavies were built strictly for the purposes of creating a grand fleet. I don't know that I'd actually keep this, though. Like, looking at the... Who are we going to fight that we need ships against? Right? Think about it. Ottomans have 14 heavies, but they're going to be all on that side of the land, like the water. They're over there. They don't matter. Other people that have lots of heavies are going to be Spain. Ming's never going to fight us. We're not going to be fighting in India unless we make an aggressive push that way. Maybe France comes down here, but even if they do, you don't need heavies to beat France. Let them land. Let them land with a 20 stack, then you just kill it. So I would probably consider selling the heavies now that the mission's completed, because this costs a lot of money. Each heavy is a half ducat a month. That means we're spending 5 ducats a month to maintain ships that are probably never going to see any real tactical use. And we need money right now, like lots of money. Okay, I talked about accepting cultures. Talked about multicultural nation. That's why we need to do it. We need splendor growth. Influence nation on subjects to get non-decaying trust. Okay, yeah. So let's wait a couple days here. Let's get a diplomat back. So I noticed that he's already used this feature on one subject. He's already influencing Makarai. I would still influence Alodia because getting them closer to 0 trust or 0 opinion will make it easier to improve relations in the future. But also they have less than 50 trust. Even though the game lies like a filthy dog, and it says in here that trust will also increase with time as long as you are allied or one is subject of the other. That's not true. Trust doesn't increase over time for subjects. It just kind of stays the same. It does not increase over time. It may trend back towards 50, but it'll never go above 50 unless you use Influence Nation. Influence Nation gives you 5 trust directly, which does not decay. So you can actually take your subjects above 50 trust, which can be useful. We're going to give that guy Influence Nation, and then we also have this guy as a subject up here. Let's get another diplomat back. For 7 ducats, we'll gladly do it. And they'll have more monarch points. They'll probably use that for development and other things. All right, next up, looking at fixing devastation in key provinces with development to preserve prosperity. So I noticed that this player has really good prosperity. This is all land that's prosperous. There's only a few locations that are not prosperous right now, but they're building up pretty quick. He must have recently conquered this land. We're currently converting it. And I noticed that because this state, I believe, was prosperous, but he took one more province from this guy right here that made it so that that province had devastation, and it's been killing the prosperity here. This province has 15 development and an estuary, 13 development and an estuary, excellent trade goods, and we're losing that goods produced from prosperity. This is a situation where I think it just makes a lot of sense to do a development click, because if you do the math, 1.96 divided by 0.08 is going to take 24.5 months, which rounds up to 25. 25 times loss of 2 devastation, you're going to lose 50% prosperity just by letting it decay over time. So we're going to spend a few points here. We'll do an admin click just to make the devastation go away right now and keep that prosperity from failing so that we can get it back. Okay, next. Moving states to better locations when possible and avoiding non-accepted cultured states. So over here we have a state slot that was used on this. I notice he hasn't cored it yet. It's all Mare culture. And if you look at the state itself, look at the state maintenance cost. We've got distance from capital, different continent, non-accepted culture. So if you look at the actual income of the state, it's making us 0.23 ducats and it's costing us 0.13 ducats in maintenance. We're only making 0.1 ducats from these 3 provinces. Like literally, that's all we're getting is 0.1 ducats. So this state slot is kind of useless, and since he hasn't cored it yet, I'm just going to unstate it because it's just a bad state. Not that he's made a bad decision. I'm sure there was a good reason for it, like trying to get, I don't know, like just more income in general. But even without that state slot, it's still making the 0.11 ducats. The only real argument would be for the manpower, the sailors, the naval force limit, the land force limit, that kind of stuff. But instead, we're going to go over here and we're going to state this slot because this is a Yemeni culture, which means that the state maintenance is going to be less. And then also, by making it into a state, we can turn on the missionary edict and get this land converted a little bit quicker. And I would full core these pretty quickly here. I know that we're behind time on a few things, but it is what it is. All right, as far as idea group selection goes, this is tough. We've got economic into influence, and then somehow we've gone double mill ideas while we're trying desperately to keep up on military tech. This is very hard to do. I probably wouldn't have done this myself, but we can still work with it. He's got military focus on, so eventually we'll get it paid for. But I would strongly consider for the next idea group going for trade. If you want to beat the Ottomans, you got to beat their income. Looking at their income, it's really, really high. They're double our income right now. We need to compete with that, and the way to do that's going to be with trade income. So trade ideas is probably the next plan, but first things first then, let's go ahead and get the alliance with this fella. I don't care if we're over the relationship limit. It's fine. That protects us from the Ottomans. We're going to start spying on Kilwa. As soon as this merchant arrives, we're going to switch over to the hostile trading focus so we can get better siege, better spy network growth against Kilwa, because we want to start going to war with him really quickly. Let's get that merchant there. And the other person that I want to consider is Fars. We should be spying. We should have more than just one claim on Fars. He's got a claim on Hormuz, but if we're going to go to war with him, we should have claims on... Oh, we do have Muscat and this one as well. Okay, so we do have some claims. I'm going to start spying on Fars with another guy, and we're going to let a month tick, and let's see how our income shakes out just after this 1 month. I know we've only played a month. Hey, look at that. Suddenly we're trading in slaves, so we get that, which is great. Our income went from... So we're only getting 2.66 in Zanzibar. Last month we made from trade 23.5. This month we made 26.3. So we're making an extra 3 ducats a month with the changes we've made so far. Production income went down slightly. Because of what reason? Could just be lack of being updated upon loading the save kind of thing. Gold income stayed about the same. We've fulfilled our mission. We've dominated trade. We get that local trade power in the home node. And of course, eventually we will want to probably turn those state edicts off now because there's really no point to them. We could turn on the state edict in our capital. It's not going to cost us much at all, and I think that it will make us more trade income. It costs like 0.2 ducats a month, and the trade will be valuable. All right. Okay, so now that we have achieved the mission, now I want to reassess where the ships are, because the ships don't necessarily need to be in the Gulf of Aden anymore. And let's just go check this out. You can see again that most of the money is still going to be going this way. This guy with his 6 trade power he's sending some of it that way, but it doesn't really matter. Also, our ships aren't there anymore, which is part of it. All right, so we've got 14.4 ducats in the Gulf of Aden. That's with all of our ships protecting. We've got the Goa node with 14. We've got Zanzibar with 12. And so Zanzibar has more money and less trade power by a ton versus something like Goa. It's like the ratio is really a lot closer there. Let's see. What trade power multiplier do we get here? It's pretty bad, pretty negative. Goa's going to be negative as well, or not too bad. I'm not collecting there. Multiplier in here is only 23%. So you kind of got to factor in this negative 40%. It reduces the quality a little bit. But I'm going to send these 10 ships down to protect trade in Zanzibar. I'm going to send these 22 ships to protect in Goa. And I think that we'll make even more money next month. Back up to speed 4. I'm going to consider selling ships to our subjects if possible as well. You know what? I don't really want to worry about that extra person to spy on. I'm going to keep all the transports. We need all the transports, but we've got 6 galleys and 10 galleons, and I'm just not so sure about that just yet. We have no shortage of sailors. Let's take the transports, make them control group 1. Let's group the non-ships that I don't like. Ones that don't serve any purpose outside of war, that don't really matter, and you can win with light ships usually anyway. Alright, so now we're making 29.46 ducats from trade, up from the original 23. We're making 14.7 ducats. When we started, we were making like 9 to 10. There's still a couple other changes that I'd like to do. I know we're trying to do double military idea groups, but I don't think that a full price level 2 military advisor is worth it right this second. So we're going to downgrade to a level 1. That'll give us another 6 ducats a month. Why do we need so much money? Because if we're not making the money, then we can't do all the stuff we're supposed to do, like build universities, work toward the next institution, which is manufactories. We need to build manufactories, otherwise we're going to fall behind on institution spread. Also, manufactories are really good. And we need the money for it. So, all right, we'll take a break here. Next episode is going to be as much gameplay as I can muster, and I'll see you again in the next episode. Thank you for watching, everyone. See you soon.